finishing it when it had to be handed in at 4 p.m. the next day. But a lot of the time I would get 3 to 4 weeks to do a paper. If you start doing your research and even just writing your outline in that first week, you are going to be so much happier once the due date rolls around, because you won't have that responsibility and you can focus your time on things where you might only have a few days to complete an assignment. I remember the first paper we got, I was finished 5 days early, and that was such a relief. I could relax. So definitely start your papers early, because they generally will take a lot longer than you think they will. You might think that you can do it in a day, and then it ends up taking 4 or 5 days to do the research, to write your outline, to do the first and second draft, and then to do your sources and citations, all of that. So start your papers early. Number 4, do the readings that are assigned in class. I didn't start doing readings before class until about halfway through the year. I would do them after class. And I got so much more out of the lectures when I did the readings prior to class. I found that it made me remember the material when it came to midterms and exams a lot better, because you'd learned it twice, it was drilled into your head twice, and you could make connections. So if the professor doesn't mention something that was in the readings, you still have that background knowledge, which they will probably ask you about on an exam. Your exams aren't always on what your notes, just your notes from the lectures are. A lot of times it's from the readings that they might not have even mentioned in class. Okay, number 5, find a study system that works for you, and that might even mean learning how to study. So I know for me and a lot of my friends in high school, I didn't have to study really at all. Maybe for my one AP class I took, but I never studied in high school. I could go into a test not studying and do a test and do fine and get honors with distinction. That is not going to happen for you unless you have some really crazy genius brain memory. You have to study in university, and that all comes down to knowing how to study. So for me, after trial and error, a good way that I found for studying for me was making up my own practice exam and doing it. So I would go through all my notes, make questions that I think the professor could ask, write them down, and after I had them all written down, I'd have an answer key. I'll go through and do the test, and then I'd mark myself. And that helps you remember the material so well, so much better than just reading your notes and expecting to remember them. Because if you're reading it, you're saying to yourself, yeah, I understand this makes sense. But that doesn't mean you're going to remember how it works when you don't have that in front of you to read. So find a study system that works for you and teach yourself how to study. And you can get help from your professors too. They can show you good study tips if you go to office hours. Number 6, you're going to want to nap a lot. I napped a lot. Everybody's going to want to nap a lot. But it really cuts down on the time you have to do your work. So when you're really tired, which you will be, especially if you have early classes, and you get back to your dorm or your room or whatever, take power naps. That means only 10 to 15 minutes of nap time. And this is coming from what I learned in psychology this past year. You don't want to go past stage 2 of the sleep cycle, because that's when you're going to get really groggy when you wake up and you're just going to want to keep sleeping. And I did that a lot. I would say I'm going to lay down for 10, 15 minutes, and then I would keep hitting snooze, and then before I know it, it's been 3 or 4 hours. And that's not going to help you in any way. So you're going to be more tired, you're going to be cranky, you're just going to want to keep sleeping, and then you've lost 4 hours of study time or homework time or essay time, whatever. Even just relaxing, like just hanging out with your friends, that's another important part. Anyway, take a 10-minute nap and commit to it, and then you'll be refreshed. Okay, so I'm kind of getting into the dorm stuff now. So the number 1 tip for that is pack less than you think you need. I can't tell you the amount of clothing that I packed that I didn't wear all year. And when I got home, I made sure that I got rid of those clothes, because I had a wardrobe in my dorm. If you've seen my dorm room tour, I'll link that down below. That was full, completely full of shoes too, and then I had drawers under my bed, and those were both full. I probably wore a third of the clothing that I brought, so instead of bringing like 7 different semi-formal or formal dresses, bring like 2 or 3 at the most. You're not going to need them. I went to maybe 2 semi-formal events, so yeah, I might have worn the same dress to both of them, so that's really bad. I'm not sure. Anyway, And that means shoes too. You probably only need 1 or 2 pairs of sneakers, a few pairs of flats, and then maybe a pair of heels or two. Like, as much as you're gonna roll your eyes and say, like, oh no, like, I need a lot. Speaking from experience, I was like that too. Pack less than you think you need. And it really helps when you have to pack up to go home, trust me. Okay, number 2 for dorms, if you're allowed to, I know that all universities are different, all residences are different. If you're allowed to have a mini fridge and a microwave, I say definitely bring one, and a kettle too. I had all of those, and it's really important to eat breakfast every day. I'm sure you all know that, but when you're rushing to class and you don't want to take time to walk down to meal hall, having a fridge and a microwave really helps. I would eat oatmeal every single day. I hardly ever went down for breakfast because it was so much faster to just make instant oatmeal in my room and eat it while I was doing my makeup. So that really helped, is having those options in your room to make your own food. Plus, you're gonna get sick of meal hall food, and that's one of my other points that I guess I'll just jump into right now. At first, meal hall is probably going to seem exciting, and in mine the food was pretty decent, but after 1 or 2 months, probably 2 months, I was sick of it beyond belief, because it's the same meal plan rotated like every 3 or 4 weeks. And you end up eating more than you should. It's sometimes kind of junky, so you're going to get sick of it. So having the opportunity to bring leftovers from home, like if you go home on the weekends like I did a lot of the time, you can bring food from home, you can reheat it, you can buy stuff at the grocery store, and you'll really be thankful to have the option of making food in your room sometimes. Number 3, allow yourself to have a relaxation routine. When you're not studying or working on a paper, it's really good to just chill out, have some downtime where you don't have to think about assignments or due dates, anything like that. So what I did every single Thursday night when the Vampire Diaries was on, I would watch that, I would paint my nails for the week, and I would just chill out for that hour. And no matter what I was doing, I would make sure that I had the work done that I needed to for that night, and then just relax. And it really helped me because I knew that that's what my routine was. I could look forward to it, and it just really cut down on the stress.